The first thing a beginner should learn is how to fight on the ground. This can often be referred to as footsies. Today, we're going to be going over the basics of footsies. A poke is a low-risk, long-ranged normal that we use to harass the opponent. A normal is any basic attack that is usually triggered by a single button press. In Guilty Gear, the slash button is often good for poking, either 5S or 2S. Sometimes though, the slower but longer range 5H or heavy slash can also be a good poking tool depending on your character. To poke the opponent, walk up and hit him with just the tip of your attack. It's important to make use of your full range, so make sure to learn just how far your normal reaches. Poking can be combined with a quick moving forward dash to close distance quickly and take the opponent by surprise. To learn the range of your poking normals, start off by shuffling your position by walking back and forth. Then, approach and poke the dummy with the tip of your normal. Really focus on visualizing the range of your poke before you press the button. Afterwards, try adding small dashes to cover distance quickly while still hitting with the tip of your poke. Now let's flip the situation. If the opponent is repeatedly walking up to you to poke you, you can keep them out of their desired striking range by throwing out normals for them to walk into. Controlling space in this fashion is called keep out. By doing this, you keep the opponent from moving into their desired range and starting offense. Record the dummy running across the screen and poking you. You will have to walk him back in between reps. While the dummy is running at you, practice keeping it out with your own normals. Once you get used to a full screen run-up, you can up the difficulty by starting the dummy closer to you. You can also add an element of reaction by giving the dummy some fake movement before they attempt to poke. So what do we do if the opponent is repeatedly keeping us out and we can't move in to start our offense? This is when we begin to counter poke or whiff punish. Counter pokes and whiff punishes are slightly different, but they both include taking advantage of an opponent who has just missed an attack. Counter poking is the act of hitting an opponent's missed poke with your own poke. When counter poking, we are hitting the opponent's outstretched limb or sometimes their weapon. Whiff punishing is hitting the opponent while they are still recovering from a missed attack. This is often applied to special moves with long recovery that we'll see more of later. But how do we get the opponent to miss a poke in front of us? If our opponent is focused on keeping us out of his space, all we need to do is bait a reaction by walking into and then out of the opponent's space. It's important to know our opponent's attack range so that we know exactly where to stand to make an attack miss. For this drill, record the dummy spamming 5S. Practice reacting to the slash and hitting it with your own. This drill will help you learn the timing to counter poking. In a real match, you probably won't be able to counter poke purely on reaction. You'll have to be actively predicting and baiting the opponent's keep out attempts. So what do we do if the opponent is repeatedly baiting us and counter poking? If your opponent is waiting for you to whiff an attack, you can freely walk into their space without fear of being kept out. When our opponent is retreating in an attempt to make us miss our attack, we have an opportunity to chase them. Because our opponent is focused on waiting for a whiffed attack, they may react too slowly to keep us out of their space. We can use this opportunity to walk or dash extra deep and fire off our own attack. In addition, successfully chasing an opponent's retreat attempt will push them closer to the wall. Getting your opponents back to the wall is an advantageous position, as they lose the ability to retreat out of our attacking range. You may have noticed a sort of cycle that we've developed with these different parts of the ground game. Each option I've provided is beat by another option. Aggressively poking or chasing will be beaten by keep out attempts. Attempts to keep out an approach will be beaten by counterpoking and whiff punishing. Finally, counterpoke attempts can be chased. This brings us full circle into what we call a rock, paper, scissors situation, or an RPS. In an RPS, each option beats and is beaten by another option in the situation. If you have a friend that plays this game too, you can do this partner drill with them, since it's hard to do with just a bot. Try playing a few matches with a friend using only 5S and walking back and forth, and that's both of you. This will help you practice chasing, keep out, and counterpoking as an RPS situation. Once you start to feel comfortable, try to add dashing. As you will find out as you read more about fighting games, Footsies can be a complicated word with multiple meanings. After this video though, you should have a fundamental understanding of what Footsies is and playing on the ground.